everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, and spring is truly in the air. It's opening day at Keeneland on Friday. Our DRF race of the day is the Grade 1 Ashland. 3-year-old fillies heading for the Kentucky Oaks, prepping at 1 1/16. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile with free formulator past performances. There's a champion in this field. The number 2, Wonder Wheel, returns to the scene of her 2 career-making efforts. A win in the Grade 1 Alcibiades, a win in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, both at this distance, but she comes into this race with some questions still to answer after being beaten at odds-on at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, not a great loss in her seasonal debut, Dan, but maybe she just needed the race. There are no fast races on her card yet, but she is a multiple Grade 1 winner in both of those races, as you've already pointed out, over this track.
There are very few 3-year-old fillies in this crop with those fast races, but a horse that's leading on our Timeform US pace projector has one of them. That's the number 5, Punchable, who comes into this race very lightly raced, only 2 starts, complete inexperience in a stakes competition, but is coming in off an 89 buyer and can make the lead, although I do think Tyler Gaffalione is going to be very aggressive with Wonder Wheel.
Yeah, the good news with Wonder Wheel is, I mean, she's versatile enough that you can do it either way. But if they wanted to be part of this pace, she certainly could be. It would probably be wise for them to ride her that way. And here, Punchable is much the same, though, Dan. And we've only seen her twice, but she came from way out of it to break her maiden, and then did the most recent win, the allowance win, on the front end with some pressure.
A horse that could be compromised if this Timeform US pace projector, which favors front runners, is correct, is the number 4, Julia Shining, who has the highest late pace figure. She's going to have to come from out of it. Do you think the addition of blinkers can maybe get her motivated early?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that should even be the plan, to try to get her motivated early, but maybe Pletcher just wants her to get a little bit more focused. And I mean, if you go back and watch the Suncoast, it felt like maybe that was the plan that day, to make sure she didn't get outrun. And she didn't get outrun, and she ran fine that day.
A horse at a very nice price is shipping in from Southern California. That's the number 1, Pride of the Nile, already Grade 1 stakes placed, and she's faced in her last several starts the best 3-year-old filly based in Southern California, Faiza, who is not Kentucky Oaks bound because she's trained by Bob Baffert. Last time out in the Santa Isabel, while she didn't break very well, she also didn't run very well, so she has some things to prove.
Yeah, the last race would be the concern. I mean, I thought her prior 2 efforts, I didn't think they were great, but I thought they were good anyway. And certainly in the Grade 1 Starlet, her first time on dirt, it felt like she had enough excuses that day, to sort of want to stay on the positive side of her. I don't really know what to make of her most recent start, Dan. If you look at the short comment, you might just think that she had some kind of big excuse in there. That's not the way that I looked at it. I just thought she ran a horrific race that day and was never involved. And it's a real question of whether she's going to be able to rebound here.
Frankie Dettori takes the mount for Doug O'Neill. The number 2 is your champion, Wonder Wheel, and your deserving morning line favorite. She won the Alcibiades from On the Lead. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies from way out of it. Here's her one and only start of 2023, the Suncoast at Tampa Bay. Some folks might think this was a speed-favoring track, and she got wired by a giant long shot. But it sure looks like she has her chances here at the 3/16 pole. Maybe she needed the race off the layoff?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only, way that you could really look at it if you want to give her an excuse, Dan. I mean, we picked it up when they were already at the top of the stretch. But if you go back and watch Tyler Gaffalione ride her around that final turn, obviously you don't know what he was thinking, but it's pretty clear that he thought he was going to win that race for fun. He was very confident with her. And then she just could never get by that long shot on the lead. So maybe she just needed the race. Again, there's no fast races on her card, but she does have 2 Grade 1 wins. And it's interesting to look at the Grade 1s, Dan, because one of them, the Alcibiades, when she just got basically loose on the lead and didn't take any pressure, and then still didn't even finish that strongly. And then the Breeders' Cup, where she just got a great ride from Gaffalione into a race that sort of came back to her at the end. I don't know. I think she's good, but I'm not, totally falling over myself wanting to bet her in these major Grade 1 races going forward.
The number 3 is a well-connected, lightly raced filly with a lot of upside. Her name is Guns and Graces. She goes out for Chad Brown and Joel Rosario. And here's her 3rd lifetime start, the Devona Dale. Her first race against winners, a race at a 1-turn mile. And as you see, she is far, far back turning into the stretch, but she puts in a pretty strong late rally to get up for second. Now, the lack of speed could work against her in a field like this, and I'm not sure I'm really enamored with the 3-year-old fillies based in South Florida this winter, but this is a very strong kick, and she could improve. She has only raced 3 times.
Yeah, she did. She did run late in that race. That's a race that really confounds me, Dan. She was slow going into the Devona Dale, but it's not like she was a one-run closer in her first 2 starts. She was actually close to the pace in both of those races, and I guess ran okay. I don't know what to make of the Devona Dale last time. She did finish okay in there, but the pace was pretty fast. The horse that won it was a huge long shot who was close to the pace in there. And this horse, despite getting second, I mean, you can go back and watch the full replay of that race. She was never involved in that race at any point, just got up for second at the end. I mean, that's not my kind of horse, but I recognize that she could improve again.
Todd Pletcher trains the number 4, Julia Shining. He trained her older sister, Malathat, to win the Ashland. Julia Shining's shown some ability in her short career. She won the Grade 2 Demoiselle, going 1 mile and 1/8 at Aqueduct in only her second lifetime start. And we saw her finish 3rd behind Wonder Wheel in the Suncoast, her 1 start this year. To me, Mike, she just never looked comfortable in that race. The jock was scrubbing on her on the backstretch to try to keep her close. She was 4 wide on the turn. She still looked like she had a shot at it at the 16th pole and then flattened out late. I still think there's something here. It'll be interesting to see how they bet her. She's the 3rd choice on the morning line. I'm not sure what I think about blinkers.
Yeah, I'm not sure about what I think about blinkers either. We'll see what kind of price you wind up getting on her, Dan. I thought her Suncoast all in all was fine, if only because it really did seem like the plan there was to not let her get too far away as she was in the 2-year-old starts. So Saez actually rode her from the gate. She was wide on the first turn. He rode her all the way up the backstretch. He kept coming around the second turn. And I'll, give her a little bit of credit there, Dan. I mean, she didn't lose any ground really from the top of the stretch to the wire. She didn't gain any either, but she didn't lose any. So maybe that's a positive takeaway. Her Demoiselle was fine, I guess, winning, going longer last year. She worked really hard to win that race, but she got it done. I still think maybe the best race she's run is the career debut. That was sprinting over this track with a big run from off the pace. I don't know what they're going to do here, Dan. I'd be worried, though, if you see them come out of the gate running in this spot, because I think her best running style is to sit and make a run.
The fastest horse on the way-in is the number 5, Punchable, who will be stepping way up off of a first-level allowance win at Oaklawn for who else? Trainer Brad Cox seemingly has everything in the 3-year-old filly and almost everything in the colt division. Here's Punchbowl's second lifetime start, coming on the heels of a rallying performance in her debut sprinting over a wet track. In this race, Florence Giroux went to the front, shrugged off some pace pressure, wins very easily, respectable figure, could get to the front in here. It'll be interesting to see if she gets bet. She's 2-1 on the morning line, the second choice.
Yeah, I mean, she ran fine in here too. Both of her starts are pretty good. You can see there's really not much running going on behind her in this race. She had no trouble making the lead. She was taking pressure, but from a big long shot up the backstretch and around the turn, easily disposed of that horse, and then won, pretty convincingly. I really liked her debut. I thought she ran great that day. And maybe she improved again last time. I don't know, Dan. I can't say I'm sold on her, but in this kind of a spot, I mean, it's hard to want to take some kind of huge stand against her. I mean, she is fastest on the way in.
2 price horses coming up from Oaklawn Park complete the field. We'll begin with the number 6, Defining Purpose, who was in against Arkansas's most dominant 3-year-old filly this winter, Wet Paint in her last couple, including the Grade 3 Honeybee last time out, a race that produced a couple of next out winners. One of them was West Paint, who won the Fantasy with an 89 Beyer speed figure. She's versatile, Mike, but she kind of fell back early over the slop, and I wonder if she's really at her best on wet tracks. She's caught him in her last 2.
Yeah, I wonder if how much of an excuse that is too, Dan. I mean, I'm happy to sort of look at it that way and say that she really couldn't build off of the stakes win on New Year's Eve because the 2 starts so far this year both came over wet sealed tracks. And maybe that's just not her thing. Personally, when I go back and watch those races, she didn't look terribly uncomfortable to me in either of them. I think she just kind of ran the race that she ran, and it wasn't good enough either time. I don't know. I still do really like that stakes win, though, at the end of last year, the last time she was on fast dirt. She looked good winning. I like she has a versatile running style here. And it's not like, I mean, I'm assuming somebody's going to take a step forward in here, but at least at this stage of the game, it's not like she has a ton of ground to make up on some of these other horses.
And as Mike mentioned, she's tactical enough to get close to the pace under Brian Hernandez Jr. Effortlessly Elegant completes this field. She's won 2 of her last 3 starts. The problem is the race she lost, she got bet down to about 9-2, and she was no match for wet paint after breaking slowly over a wet track. But she did bounce back, and she won this race last time out at 1 mile and a 16th at Oaklawn, and she was pretty game to do it.
Yeah, this trip almost really didn't work out for her. She gets in really, really tight here as she's trying to look for a place to run here through the stretch. She winds up bouncing her way through that traffic, Dan, and she will get up. To her credit, this is a really game victory for her, a race that she easily could have lost. And it was nice to see her bounce back off of a pretty poor performance in the only stake start so far. I like her other 3 races, Dan. I don't like that Honeybee at all.
2 starts with Lasix, both wins. 2 start without Lasix, both losses. She'll have, of course, race without Lasix in the Ashland. Before we get to our top picks, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos with the Kentucky Derby and Oaks right around the corner. Top pick time for the Ashland in here. We both respect Wonder Wheel, but I don't want to really take a short price in here. Julia Shining, if she's the 3rd choice in here, I'll give her one more chance. I'm not sure she's as talented as her older sister Malathot was, but I do think there's something there, and I think she'll be running at the end of this race. Mike, you're going with a bigger price, the 6 Defining Purpose.
Yeah, I almost went with your horse too, and I agree with all that stuff that you said. As far as if she's the 3rd choice in this race, then maybe that's enough to give her the chance in here. But more than anything else, I just kept looking at it, thinking, Dan, if I'm going to bet the race, I'm not sure I am yet, but if I am going to bet it, I'm not betting any of the 3 favorites in here. They might run 1, 2, 3 in this race, but I wouldn't bet the race just using those horses. I want somebody else, and if I'm going to bet it, I'm going to hope that Defining Purpose goes off at a big price, gets back over a fast track here, and can take the necessary step forward.
And she'll get the jump on Julia Shining, certainly turning into the stretch from stalking range, and she's already a stakes winner. 6-4-5-2 for Mike, 4-5-2-6 for me. I'll take Julia Shining, but she's got to be the 3rd choice as she is on the morning line. It's the Grade 1 Ashland. It's a very important prep for the Kentucky Oaks. It's opening day at Keeneland. Good luck.